Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. I had intended to do this on my laptop, but it's completely frozen, so we're just going to go with the phone. So hopefully the speaker is loud enough. I have not gone live in like over a month, because I was Facebook banned, but now I'm back, obviously. It's a long story, it's a stupid story, but I'm back at least. So we are learning about fatigue today, and I know I've done lots of videos on fatigue, and I don't expect many people to be watching right now because it's so nice out. I'm sure everyone's out enjoying the sun, which I'm going to do after this. But I have done lots and lots of videos on fatigue, but there's certain aspects that people still don't grasp or they forget. And I know it's my job to remember everything, it's not your job, but there are some key points that we can remember when it comes to fatigue. There's many different variables that will impact fatigue, but some of the main ones, of course, we think of stress and poor nutrition and not sleeping well. But one of the main things I see that drives fatigue a lot, and I think now is a good time to look at this, is dehydration, because as we move into the warmer months, we know that as we move into those warmer months, we do need more hydration. As it is, even if you don't think you do, you do. We lose a lot of hydration through our skin, through our breath. About 40% of our hydration is lost through our breathing alone. And if we're moving into warmer months and maybe we're not just sweating more at night, but maybe gardening more or walking more or out enjoying the weather more, we are going to need more hydration. But regardless of all that, a big thing that I see is dehydration driving fatigue. Wendy, I can see you're watching. I don't know who else is watching, but if you can hear me, please let me know, because this is on my phone speaker. But a big thing that drives fatigue is going to be dehydration, because of many feedback loops. But to put it really, really simply, your energy powerhouses or your energy production factories, they're your mitochondria within your cells. So your cell being this little bubble, and then your mitochondria, we have hundreds of them inside the cell. Some cells have more, some have less, but regardless. And in order for the mitochondria to work well, we have to have a constant flow of clean water coming in and out of the cell. So the water moves through osmosis, through the membrane, in and out of the cell. How easily it moves in and out depends on cell integrity. But generally, if we have lots of clean water moving in and out of the cell, then the mitochondria are going to work a lot better. When we don't have water in the cell, and there's a couple of reasons that might happen, but if you don't have enough hydration going through the tissues and into the cells, we see an accumulation of what's called ceramide build up in the cells, and we become more sensitive to this fat. Ceramide is a fat, but we become more sensitive and kind of overloaded with it the older that we get. And when ceramide builds up in the cell, what happens is it tends to tear the cell apart. So then you're splitting cells basically, and you're tearing apart mitochondria. So you're not going to have optimal energy production there either. So not only are we building up the ceramide, we're tearing apart the cells, the mitochondria are not functioning properly. In order for mitochondria, your energy powerhouses, to work properly, they do have to be constantly flushing this clean water out of the cells all the time. So if you think of like SpongeBob, do you ever see the cartoons? I don't know what episodes they are, but in some episodes where he like totally dries up, he's dehydrated, that's what your cell looks like. Your cell looks like a dehydrated sponge. And when it's in that state, obviously it's not going to be functioning functioning properly. Therefore, you're not going to produce energy properly. So dehydration is a huge thing when it comes to energy. This also comes down to the cleanliness of water. I don't want to get into it too much, but as we get older, it's more important for us to have the cleanest water possible. Again, because if you go back and look at the blog post I did maybe a year or two ago on deuterium, we can build up deuterium within our cells, and deuterium mostly comes from either overconsumption of junk food and carbohydrates, or we get it through our water. Now, when you're young, you metabolize these molecules really fast, like the deuteriums and the ceramides. But as we get older, we're less able to, and within our mitochondria, we have like these rotors within the mitochondria, and they turn like this. Not that I probably should get a whiteboard. I do have one, I just don't use it. But we have these rotors, and when you have really clean water within the cell, within the mitochondria, these rotors move perfectly, and you have a strong immune response, you have good cellular response. It's right down to the mitochondria. It's very important, this hydration aspect. But when you drink dirty water, or water that's not so clean and maybe has a lot of chemicals in it, what we see is these rotors, we end up getting these molecules in, and they're too big to slide easily through the rotors, so they jam up the rotors, and we get kind of this grinding move. And let's just imagine it like a bolt is stuck between the rotors, and then it starts to rust, so nothing is moving smoothly. So then of course energy production is not smooth either. So, and lastly, this just popped into my head. When we are dehydrated too, it can push the body into survival mode. And when the body gets pushed into survival mode, then whatever water is in your body, in your tissues, in your cells, that's going to get pulled towards your essential organs, your heart, your brain, your lungs, for you to live, for you to survive. That is the natural mechanism. So as that's happening, now you have less and less water or fluid available for external tissues. This is why we see dry skin and weak hair and broken nails, and even issues with fat loss, because you're in that survival state. And this is from dehydration, and not many people realize that if you're dehydrated, you will go into a survival mode. But this next part's really important, so stay with me, because there's specific 2 girls that brought this to my mind this week to do this video, but one of them has experienced this next issue. So when the body then goes into survival mode, because you're pulling all the water into your essential organs to keep you alive, 1, you're in this survival state. But 2, the chances of you having a blood sugar crash are a lot higher. So this specific client has gone hypoglycemic a couple of times due to dehydration. And I say that because when we go back on her steps, I'm like, hold on, you're dehydrated. I can see you're dehydrated. So she's going hypoglycemic. And what happens when we go hypoglycemic? Well, of course, we get these uncontrollable sugar cravings. Like, you can't control them. Your blood sugar drops so low when you go hypoglycemic that the pancreas and even the liver dumps out a lot of insulin to bring your blood sugars back up. But in response to that, your brain just totally goes out of control. Like, you get possessed by a sugar demon. You cannot help yourself. You just eat, because it's a matter of life and death as far as your body's concerned. Like, you're either going to die now or you're going to eat a lot of sugar. So you go towards the sugar, and it's very uncontrollable. And this comes back to dehydration. And if we were to take steps back through the biochemical pathways, we'd see, okay, the dehydration, the sodium-potassium pump is inhibited, so that the sodium-potassium pump helps us kind of regulate fluid inside and outside the cell. We step back and be like, okay, well, mineral, electrolyte depletion, magnesium, potassium depletion, chromium is a big one, especially when it comes to hypoglycemia and blood sugar crashes and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, it's right there. It's obvious to me. It's right in a lot of people's faces, but they don't recognize it. That dehydration is going to be one of the biggest driving factors towards fatigue. And we could even say, well, most people do say that dehydration is the reason they don't lose weight. But they don't quite understand, but it does come back to this: the cells are not working properly, you're not flushing properly. And I suppose I'll give you this last aspect before I jump off. And hi, Jennifer, Becky, Nicole, Lisan, I haven't seen you in ages. Wendy, I can't see anyone else that's watching, but I know someone else is. I'll leave you with this. One of the reasons that we don't lose weight or body fat when we're dehydrated is not just that mitochondrial mechanism or the cellular issues that go on there. Not the fatigue that I'm too tired to work out, I'm too tired to think, I'm too tired to sleep, I'm too tired to make good food choices. It's not that. I mean, they all play a part, but what it is when we say are dehydrated, and regardless of other lifestyle factors, what you're eating, what your days look like, your nutrition, all that, regardless, even if you're eating super clean and doing everything right, you will get an accumulation of toxins in your body. And that's going to represent as toxic molecules. Could be glyphosate, it could be hormones like estrogen, could be lipopolysaccharides, so inflammatory molecules, it could be the shells of dead bacteria. There's all these different things that our body constantly flushes all day, every day. But if you're not drinking water, you will get a toxic overload in your body. And when you get toxic overload, well, one, the cells will not function properly, because you're not just overloading your joints, say, you're overloading every single cell, but the accumulation of the toxins in the body that you're not flushing properly is going to drive up a lot of inflammatory processes and make you feel inflamed. You might feel pain in your joints, you might feel sore tissues not recovering well after workouts, breakouts, bacteria overgrowths, breakouts on your face, breakouts on your back, hair loss. Like if you look in the iris of your eye in good sunlight, so in front of a window with a good mirror, if you see yellow and orange in the iris of your eye, you'll see like that toxic overload going through the body. The iris is great for that, but also those toxins are going to slow down everything in your body, your adrenals, your thyroid, everything. So a lot of people understand that to lose weight, you need to drink a lot of water, which I used to think was blah, blah, blah. But now I agree based on the cellular mechanisms and how it works. And one of the most basic things you can think of is if I'm drinking a lot of water, I'm flushing lots of toxins all day, every day. And the more toxins you flush out of your body, the easier it is to lose weight. And then the easier it is for your cells to function and for you to produce energy right into the mitochondria. So the hydration is really important. And then to leave it at this, lots of people struggle with water. I get it. Lots of people do. People don't like water. They forget to drink it. They're too busy. Most of the time, I think it's down to not having a good routine or good structure that's kind of timed or spread throughout the day. So with my clients, I hope everyone can see me because my screen just froze. Then you've got your teas, which do count towards hydration. Coffee does count towards hydration. But then when we look at your hydrating foods, this time of the year is awesome for hydrating foods. You've got like your chia puddings, you've got strawberries, you've got melons, you've got lettuces, you've got apples, you've got like lots of fresh fruit coming out now that are going to be not only high in water, but also high in electrolytes and some minerals to help drive that water into the cells. You also can look at your jellies. So in my master's guide, we make a rose jelly, so it's great for your skin and beauty, and it's very hydrating. Jams, jellies, puddings, very hydrating. Chia pudding, chia is one of the most hydrating seeds out there. Aloe vera water, not aloe vera juice, so really clean aloe vera water is going to be great. You can look at your iced teas now, smoothies, soups, although not many people eat soups in the summer. It's I don't care, I'll eat it whenever. So there's lots and lots of options, even right down to shakes. If you have like a protein shake that you really love, you can really put that to good use to help yourselves rehydrate as well. So there are options. It's not just about the water. Oh, ice pops and cool pops and popsicles, they're great ways for hydrating in the summer. So there's lots of ways, but I think the majority of people are going to see a huge increase in not only energy but also health if they're hitting their water targets and how they actually feel. You might pee a lot in the beginning. That's just going to be a case of that sodium potassium pump rebalancing and resensitizing so that you're starting to retain the water. Like if you find that you're drinking, peeing all the time, generally the water's just rushing through you. You're not actually retaining the water. You're not hydrating. So it'll take a while of your body to adapt to maybe the extra minerals, a bit of sea salt in your water, some lemon in your water, strawberries, cucumber, mint, stuff like that. That's going to tell the body we're trying to keep this water in the body. And I mean, there's other reasons why you might pee a lot, but generally that's the main one in the beginning. And then once your body learns to hold on to water properly and hydrate properly, then your peeing goes back to a normal kind of peeing thing. Not to get too personal, but I probably pee about 8 times a day. I don't know how many other people do. Maybe 10, and then 1 during the night. Peeing once during the night is quite normal. Once we go over 2, then there's an issue there. But you'll know you're hydrated, your energy will be good, your eyesight will be really good. Dehydration is a huge thing when it comes to good eyesight. Your skin will be really good, you'll look healthy, you'll feel good doing workouts, your pee will be a good color. There's a lot of stuff that'll happen. But anyway, if you have more questions, just post them below and I'll take a look and I'll respond as I can. Otherwise, that's the end of that. I just wanted to highlight that point. I'll probably do some more videos over the next while now that I'm not banned anymore. So happy Easter, everyone. Have a great weekend. And you know where I am if you have any questions. Bye.